Right, so our top story at this hour, the 8 police officers accused of violently assaulting 3 members of the public on the N1 highway in Johannesburg early last month have been granted bail of 10,000 rand each in the Randburg Magistrate's Court this morning. The officers are part of Deputy President Paul Mashatile's VIP Protection Services unit. They're being charged with pointing a firearm, damage to property, assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm, reckless and negligent driving, and attempting to defeat the ends of justice. The assault was captured on camera by a motorist. Magistrate Sibe granted the 8 accused bail. This was on condition that they make no attempt to contact state witnesses, and they've also been ordered not to interfere with the state's investigations. Sibe told the court that the accused attacked the complainants and were brazen about it. She said, in terms of the Constitution, police officers have a duty to uphold the law and to fight crime in all of its forms. Now, the magistrate ruled in her judgment that the state is not sure of the method it will use to trace the sender of the video, widely circulated on social media. In fact, she said it will not be in the interest of justice to keep the accused incarcerated whilst the state continues with its investigations. The matter has been postponed to the 27th of September for further investigations. Well, staying with the story, it's bringing legal analyst Elton Hart and Ian Cameron from Action Society. A very good afternoon to the both of you. Thank you for joining us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Elton, at this point, let me start with you. Perhaps from a legal vantage point, we can get your reaction to the court now having granted bail to the officers. Elton, I think you're on mute.
Bail,
Perhaps you could start
I was
again.
On mute. Yes, if one looks at bail is a method that is actually employed by courts to ensure that people attend to their actual hearing, and it shouldn't be used as a punitive measure to say this should be used as a form of punishment for the crime that you are alleged to have committed. Bail is just to say, does the interest of justice permits for you to be released on bail and that you'll stand trial? So at this case, and I hear people are speculating a lot that the state has got a weak case against these 8 accused. I don't think the state has got a weak case because there is evidence, video footage. The only thing is that the state needs to prove where it originates from and to show that it's original and authentic. But obviously, with the warning statements that was made by this, and even in the bail application, one of the accused persons actually went to go and testify. He went into the dock and said they were there, so they placed them on the scene already. So the only thing that the state might have a problem with, I think it's count 12, which is the one that speaks to defeating the ends of justice. Whether there's a threat, where they say there was an SMS sent directly or indirectly by one of the accused. I think that is one of the charges that the state might struggle with. But the other 11, I don't think that the state will have a lot of difficulty in proving that these blue light bullies was actually, they behaved like criminals. I don't think that the state will have difficulty in doing that, unless we get, again, meddling from their side with the witnesses and the evidence.
Well, Elton, there were concerns about the haste in which the case has come to the fore, and perhaps that has contributed to the weakening of the state's case, particularly because investigations are still underway. Perhaps from a legal standpoint, you can help us understand that, because the NPA spokesperson did come out to say, in fact, defending their stance and decision to enroll the matter, saying that it was in the interests of justice.
No, the NPA was right in enrolling the matter because there was a crime allegedly committed by these 8 accused. I have my view on that, but the NPA was right. They have to enroll it so that they actually bring these guys before a court of law. Does the court grant them bail or not? That's a different issue altogether. But while the matter is enrolled, the NPA is well within its rights to now investigate. And this thing will be postponed for further investigation, and they will make sure that they've got rock solid evidence before they're actually enrolling the matter for trial. That's when it now matters. Trial and the bail application is 2 separate things. That's what we need to know. It's just to make sure due process is followed, that they are treated like any other citizen or person in this country. When they are committed or accused of committing a crime, they are arrested, charged, and brought before court in terms of the Constitution. And how the court deals with them on the bail doesn't say anything about the merits of the case. It just says they have shown on that the interest of justice permits for them to be released. It doesn't say that they are acquitted and they have not committed the crime. We are still far away from that, so people should understand that very clearly. The state is well within its rights to do further investigation and gather more evidence and incriminating evidence to actually sort of have pinned these accused to the 11 charges that I am comfortable that the state can prove against them.
All right. Thank you for clarifying the bail versus the merits of the case, perhaps as we edge closer to the trial, which begins on the 27th of September. Ian, at this point, I want to bring you into the conversation and get your reaction. Have you cited possible concerns of preferential treatment towards those accused? Or what's your standpoint?
Yeah, firstly, I want to say I absolutely agree with everything Elton has said. I think what bothers me is the fact that she says it's not in the interest of justice to keep them behind bars. Just in terms of bail, I think these cops took a certain oath to protect the public. And what happened there didn't give me the idea of protecting the public. Also, what's lacking to me is the fact that they didn't discuss whether these cops would continue to have access to their own private firearms. Do they currently have private firearms? What dangers might they pose to people with those private firearms? I'm unhappy about the fact that SABC hasn't come forward with a Section 102 to say that they need to be declared unfit and not proper with those firearms for the way they conducted themselves. One thing that we can already see from that video, and this is not speculation, is the fact that they contravened the Firearm Control Act. There's no doubt about that. Everything that happens in that video also goes against the SAP's own prescripts about how you need to conduct yourself with a firearm, whether the state firearm or your own. Nevertheless, we're not happy about the fact that they got bail. I am still happy, though, and about the fact that there is a trial coming, and I think it is positive. I think the state does have quite a strong case. I don't agree with the fact that they say the state doesn't. In my opinion, the state have had also quite a lot of time to prepare the necessary information or investigation work for where the case is at the moment. So I don't agree with the magistrate. In fact, I think it's quite irresponsible of her to make that statement now already.
Thank you for that. I also then want to bring the issue of the police officers violating their oath of office, becoming rogue officials, and what concerns also arise in terms of trust for law enforcement officials, for the broader society at large, given what's coming to the fore through this case.
Yeah, so from our side, we have a problem with the fact that we see these blue light incidents happening reasonably often. I mean, we hear about it quite a bit. I think in this specific case, it was more a matter of them actually being caught out, and it was caught on camera, and I think that's why it got the amount of attention that it did. But it's not uncommon to hear about people being bullied by what we call the blue light mafia. I think an example needs to be made of them, and people say, yeah, but they have the rights it's the same as all of us. I understand that. But when you take an oath as a police member, there is a specific onus on you. You take an extraordinary oath or responsibility to say, I am here to serve and protect. And these cops certainly didn't do that. And when I watch that video over and over again, I don't get the impression that it is the first time that they acted in that way. Now, that is speculation. But when I speak to the victims, and one of the victims that we represent, I hear a story of someone that thought they were being hijacked. They were attacked. He was beaten with a rifle over the head. That is not the conduct of a cop performing an arrest or stopping a so-called threat. If the threat was real, then those people would have been shot. There are many other standard operating procedures we can run through of the South African Police Service, but they cannot justify their actions, and therefore I believe that they should have remained behind bars.
Elton, let me just get your reaction on the back of some of the sentiments echoed by Ian. Based on the bail conditions, raising questions about whether the officers have been declared unfit and also whether they'll have access to private firearms. Perhaps you can also contextualize that answer in relation to the investigations that are underway as we proceed closer to trial.
No, obviously the state, when the state presents its case, obviously they would ask that certain bail conditions be set. for a person, because you never know what the court's decision is. And in this instance, the court granted now the accused person's bail. So there should be strict conditions as to how they should conduct themselves, not to interfere with the investigation, not to contact witnesses, not to even, for any remote reason, interfere with the running of the criminal case from now onwards. What Ian also alluded to about their firearms, because I think there should have been a question or questions raised pertaining to do they own any firearms at this point in time. And yes, there is, are they suspended from their duties? Those type of things were supposed to be canvassed by the state at some stage to actually just make it a little bit heavier on them to actually say, why should they be treated like any other citizen? Because they hold a higher position. They are in a position of trust. They protect the deputy president. So it's just like drivers. Professional drivers are treated at a very higher level than normal drivers. So these people that got specialized training were supposed to be treated in that way as well, and not given preferential treatment. So I saw that in the judgment that the magistrate read out, it was like sort of like they're leaning towards more of these accused persons' rights than to actually say what is the public outcry there and how we should be looking at it. Obviously, we cannot dictate to a magistrate how he or she should make a decision, but we can also, maybe the NPA can also say, but I am not happy with this decision and I'm going to take it on appeal, because they can take the decision of the magistrate to grant them on bail. But also, if for some reason one of the accused or all of them are violating one of the bail conditions set, the prosecutor can come and ask for a variation of the bail conditions, and then they can be kept in custody. So it's not all good and clear for them that they are free. But I think for them to have access to certain information and tools, because they work for the deputy president, I just fear that they might meddle with the state's case. I just fear because already with that SMS, be it original or not, they already show the propensity that they can meddle with the state's case. And for me, I think either stricter bail conditions or that they should have been kept in custody, but obviously that's judicial discretion that they choose, and the state can approach a higher court to say, listen, yeah, I want you guys to revisit this issue of the bail that was granted to these guys.
Well, case postponed.
That's my take on it.
All right, so the case postponed to the 27th of September for further investigations. We'll leave our conversation there for now. Thank you to the both of you for your time with us on the SABC. Legal analyst Elton Hart and Ian Cameron from Action Society getting reactions. This is the 8 police officers accused of violently assaulting 3 members of the public, of course, on the N1 highway in Johannesburg last month have been granted a bail of 10,000 Rand.